Welcome everyone. Let's look at what we call auxins. So in this presentation, we'll basically be looking at what auxins are, where they produced, what is their impact on growth of, in the shoots, and then also in the roots. Okay, and how can we use them? Okay, how do we use auxins, especially in agriculture, and how can we really demonstrate um, that auxins influence growth? Okay, that's an experiment that we shall talk about in this session. Okay, so let's start with the knowing what auxins are. We talked about trophisms, which we said are plant growth responses that happen due to stimuli in a particular direction, unidirectional stimuli. And we said we used examples such as the changes in temperature, the force of gravity. We also talked about issues to do with the direction of sunlight and a number of other stimuli that the plants can respond to. And we said that these responses are growth responses or growth movements. So meaning that these plants are basically in response to the stimuli, they either grow towards or away from the stimuli. Okay, so that growth towards or away is caused by the auxins. The auxins have actually all these trophisms that we looked at can be explained in terms of distribution of auxins, and which we are saying here that these auxins are actually plant hormones. They influence growth, okay? Particularly they promote cell elongation. Okay, they promote cell elongation. So auxins are a group of plant hormones, basically known as the enol acetic acid, that is IAA. Okay, they influence plant growth and development. They are produced at the tips of the shoot and the root tips. Okay, that's where they are produced. So growth in plants takes place at those 2 points. The shoot basically it's about the leaves and the stem, the outer part, what you see on a plant, the shoot, the part which is underground, the root system, is what we are terming as here the root tips. So at the end of these tips of the roots is where we have auxins being produced. So since they are produced there, they have to diffuse away to different parts for development to happen. Okay, so this is to say that when they are produced at the tips of the shoot and the roots, they don't remain there, they diffuse away to cause growth and development in other parts of the plant. Okay, so what is very important about the auxins is about their concentration. Okay, what happens? What happens if the auxin concentration is high in the shoot? What happens if the auxin concentration is high in the root? That is very important. So the concentration or the amount of auxins is the very key. So let's look at that concentration aspect. When we have high auxin concentration, in the suit, what you will see is that the cells will elongate. This is basically the growth. It will grow taller and elongate. And then in the roots, the opposite happens. If you have high oxygen concentration in the roots, the cells will not elongate. That's why we are saying that it will inhibit cellular elongation. Okay, so instead in the roots, what we want is a low concentration of auxins for the cells to elongate. Okay, another aspect that we really need to also note is that these auxins concentrate at the tip of the root tip, okay, because of that gravitational pull. Okay, so that means that we have an equal distribution of auxins in the roots. Okay, and this actually plays an important role in the root growth. We will see that later on. But basically, the other thing that we want to emphasize on this slide is that by inhibiting growth on the lower side, the roots curve, the root curves and grows downwards. So this is basically to say, if you're going to use this as our root, we are saying that the concentration of the auxins is more downwards because of the gravitational force. So therefore, what happens is that the part where there is where there are low auxin concentrations is going to grow more. So when it grows more, it will curve inward, downwards. Okay, and then the part which has less will not grow at the same rate as compared to them. So that's why we have the roots growing downwards. Okay, so that is an explanation that you need to be aware of there. So this graph can be brought in the examination, still emphasize the same concept, that the extent to which auxins promote growth in the root and in the shoot is actually different. When you have, the more you have moving in that direction, the more you increase the concentration of auxins, the more you have growth in the shoot, but you will have growth declining in the root. Okay, so you can see that the growth initially in the root is high at low concentration. As the concentration increases, goes down. Okay, and then another issue that you also might need to be aware about here is that at a point, at a point where you increase in the concentration of auxin, and there is a point where even if you increase the concentration of auxins, you will not have increase in growth of the shoot. So there is a limit, basically. The plant will not grow endlessly. There is also a limit. That's an important concept to note there. So let's look at how we can really show the impact of auxins on the growth of a sweet tea. Okay, so basically the growth in plants, we'll look at it later on, that you have secondary growth and primary growth. Those are concepts that we look at in growth as a topic. Here we are concerned with the growth that happens at the suit tip. Okay, so we already noted earlier on that the auxins are found at the tips of the suit and the tips of the root. Now, if you get a shoot tip and then you cut it off, it means that you have removed the auxins because they are at the tip. You cut the tip off, put it on agar. What will happen is that this shoot will not continue to grow because you have removed the part which contains the auxins. Okay. The fact that you have placed it on the agar means that the auxins can actually diffuse from the tip of the suit that was cut into the agar. Now, if you get that agar and place it on one side of the tip, the cut tip, you see that growth will happen again. And in this case, the tip or the shoot tip will actually start to curve. This is to indicate that that growth is not uniform. We have more growth or more cell elongation on the side where there is the agar than on the side where there is no agar. So this is an illustration that the agar actually contains auxins, and then the auxins are diffusing into the shoot tip, and that is what is causing the elongation. Okay, on the cell elongation on that side, and therefore the growth is more on that side, and that's why the curve is in that direction. Okay, where you have more auxins is where you have more cell elongation than the inner part, so you have that shoot growing in that direction. Okay, so basically that is what I've just explained, that if you cut it, you remove the source of the auxins and growth will not happen. When you place it on agar, the auxins will diffuse, and then the agar will contain the auxins. If you place it on the cut suit, you will see that the growth happens again. It restarts, and you see it will grow more on the side where you place the agar block than where there is no agar block. That's the explanation in there. So that is basically an experiment to demonstrate the impact of auxins. Okay, so let's move to explaining the trophisms using the concentration of auxins. Okay, we earlier on said that the plant suit will grow towards the direction of the sunlight, as long as the sunlight is coming from a particular direction. That's what we ended at. But what causes that growth towards that direction is what we are going to look at, and also in other types of trophisms. So here, the emphasis is that you need to remember that when you have auxins are actually sensitive to light. So when the direction of the light is from this end, the auxins will move to this side. Okay, and when they move to this side, they cause more cell elongation on this side, and when there is more cell elongation on this side than this side, the growth will be towards that side. That's what we are basically saying. But if the direction of the sunlight is uniform, this means that whichever side of the suit the amount of sunlight received is the same or equal, then what we are basically going to see is that it will continue to grow straight, because there is no unequal movement of the auxins. Okay, So that is the point there. So if you are asked to explain how phototrophism happens in terms of auxins, you say that the auxins are sensitive to light. They make light makes auxins to move away. Auxins move away from light, and when they move away, the side where they are more concentrated will grow faster, or the cells will elongate, causing more growth on that side than the other side, and therefore the shoot will bend towards the direction of the sunlight. So that is that there. So what happens? Can we explain geotrophism using the concept of auxins? Yes, we can do that. So still, if you have a plant horizontally placed just like this, what will happen is that the auxins will be more on the lower part, okay, and less on the upper part. So where you have auxins more for the shoot, the part will grow upwards. Where you have less for the root, you will have more cell elongation, more growth. So the root will grow downward, whereas the shoot will grow upwards. That is basically what happens, and that's why we say that the shoot is negatively responds negatively towards the force of gravity, whereas the roots respond positively towards the force of gravity. Okay, so that is what you see there. So it's the same image that you see where the plant, the shoot goes up, whereas the root goes down. So on the lower part, where more auxins happen, the shoot goes up. On the upper part, where we have less auxins, goes down. Okay, that is that. Thymotrophism and auxins, still the same concept. The tendrils, when the tendril gets, we are saying the tendrils are just those elongations from a climbing plant that can attach around the supporting plant. Okay, so when the tendrils get in touch with the supporting plant, you will have the auxins more on the side that is not touching. Okay, so that there will be more growth that side and then wrapping the supporting plant around. Okay, that is what happens with thymotrophism. So let's move to another concept. We have looked at auxins in terms of their impact on growth, especially cell elongation. But of course, the auxins also have other effects. One is that they can increase the cell wall permeability for nutrient uptake. Okay, and then the second one is, of course, the increased energy production through increasing the rate of metabolism, and then the increased cell turgidity, and then influence plant response to touch and other trophisms. So application, auxins are naturally occurring substances in plants that cause growth. Okay, play an important role in growth. But we can synthesize these auxins. Basically, this is to say that man can make chemicals that resemble auxins chemically. It's to say that they can have the same properties as auxins. So that's what we call the synthetic auxins. So we can apply this knowledge of auxins in agriculture, where we can actually make um, weed killers. Okay, weed killers. What these weed killers do is that they contain chemicals that resemble auxins and cause the similar impact. But in this case, because the auxins are in higher concentration, the plant will not grow and actually die off. Okay, and that's what we use in weeding. Okay, using these chemicals for weeding purposes. Thank you for listening.